Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Hoop Show. My name is Ben Reeve, and this is Paul James next to me. Paul, we're back again for our summer series, I suppose. I don't know what we're calling this, but we'll call it a summer series, whatever. And this is episode
we're wearing
2.
the same shirts week after week.
We go with the black theme, aren't we?
We didn't go the costume change between recordings here. Sorry, everyone, they're banked up.
Bank 'em, baby. This episode is all about free agency, trades, and the draft. And we've just put out a few draft videos recently, Paul. And I don't know if you looked at the numbers, but they're absolutely gone bonkers, those videos.
People like them, as it turns out.
People love a draft video. I don't know why, but hopefully we'll flag. We'll do a hashtag draft, AFL draft on this one, and we'll see what this one just go through the roof as well. All right, so it's same as usual, Paul. We've got 10 questions. I'll ask the question, I'll let you answer it, and then I'll respond and give the correct answer. Now, you are allowed to call it as you see it, Paul. Clearly, Paul plays it safe. He's always so safe. So call him out in the comments if you think he's playing it too safe. Everyone, let him know. Also, let me know if I'm a little bit too
talking
left of centre, because that is
yes.
my slant as well. I always go a bit left of centre with some of this stuff. All right, so Paul, you ready to go? Are you good?
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, so have we got the free agency rules right, or do we need to make some changes?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. There's optical things that get weird, and I cast my eye back to things like Frawley, for example, versus Buddy, and kind of the picks that we kind of exchanged there. But I think the principal idea of what they're looking to achieve, which is, you get a first round pick immediately after your initial one. I think that core idea is right. Like, Melbourne gets what they get for Frawley because they were a bottom rung team. And so the cost of him leaving is greater on them. It's weird that I'm saying this when then the other half of the kind of the situation is Buddy. But the cost to them, an already weak team, is actually more significant than, say, Buddy departing a Hawthorn who's winning premierships. They're a top of the ladder team, and obviously proved the following year that it had no bearing whatsoever. So I'm actually, I think that kind of system works. The weird hidden KFC herbs and spices nature that the AFL kind of holds it behind annoys me. I wish they'd be far more transparent about it and how it works. This whole idea that, we're going to wait 24 hours and we'll put it through our algorithms, spit out an answer. That, like, I'm calling BS on that. But because that's really, it doesn't look good. But yeah, I'm okay with the core idea of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wrote the question, but I don't really have a well thought out answer to it. Really, I'll probably just speak from the heart. I feel absolutely gutted for those teams that lose a good player. I don't feel gutted. Didn't feel gutted when Buddy left Hawthorn. They'd had a lot of success or whatever.
But we don't feel gutted for Hawthorn.
No, we don't. Never at all. Stuff them. Hello, if you're a Hawthorn supporter watching this channel, the Geelong Cats.
Kindly leave.
No. Leave. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe before you go.
But we'll see you come Geelong and Hawthorn on Easter Monday.
Exactly. But it just rips your heart out when you see a really great player leaving a struggling club or a middling club that's just about to take that next step, and you think, oh, come on, can you just, if that happened to the Cats, not that Tom Stewart's going to just walk out on us because he probably want to be a captain next, but can you imagine someone like that just walking away because he's, I've got to think about the family. I get it, like, it's a job, but it is more than ever these days. It is a profession, and it's a very short time. And
you can be a bit of a gun for hire and all those sorts of things, but
I don't like it. I long for the days and that when we have a one club players. It was, look, and I've got rose-colored glasses on. It wasn't, not everyone, you just got to go back 20, 30 years. Like Doug Wade was playing for multiple clubs. Like, it happens. Like,
but
it's not
to
just
be fair,
what
you're raising there is a different point to the free agency rules. Like, players will do what players do, and it's about then really, I think the free agency rules and the compensation and all those sorts of things, that is then about supporting the clubs who lose player X, that lose Buddy, that lose Frawley, that lose whoever they happen to lose, that lose Gary Ablett Jr., so on and so forth.
Oh, that was a big one. That hurt, mate. All right. Well, what should happen then if a club loses a player to free agency? What should they get? Like, let's say, let's think of a player. I don't know, Max Holmes in 2 or 3 years' time, whatever. Whenever he becomes a free agent, what do we get? Do we get a top first round pick for him? Is it simple as that? Is it overly complicated at the moment?
Well, that's where, like, I think the model largely works. Like, I don't think there's been any, and again, I think it's your Hawthorn supporters that typically are the loudest when it comes to this because they feel like they were dudded with Buddy back in the day. But and look, I get it. He was probably the best player or second best player behind Junior in the comp. But at the end of the day, again, it's designed to maintain balance, and I think it kept things balanced. If you gave them pick one in the draft, that's a big problem, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it all works pretty well. I think clubs should be compensated. I think the system largely works. So I think if Max Holmes was to leave, we'd probably get like an early pick 2, I'm guessing, but that's probably based on because they've got it's about how much the player's getting paid in this new contract that's being offered. It's a whole range of different things. And I think when it comes to someone like Max Holmes, now it's a weird one because also he's not eligible for a free agency yet. So kind of it takes this off the table. But
well, here's one. Max Holmes wins his second premiership with Geelong in 3 years' time.
Well, he's
year on, year off, that kind of thing. Do we do? Okay, Max.
Well, he missed the last one, remember? So not a great example, but yeah, I mean, look, he still wouldn't be eligible even at that point. But
yeah,
even as a restricted, I don't think he'd be there yet.
No, I don't think he's a bit longer, but yeah.
But that's why it also is what it is, because by the time they're restricted or even free to good home, or unrestricted, just to be more respectful. I think that's why the pay does come into it, because at that point they've kind of hit the peak of their powers or very close to it, and so the clubs can offer the correct amount of money, which then kind of unlocks whatever picks are kind of associated with that as a part of the various herbs and spices. So yeah, I'm fine with the compensation. I think it's hard to not get caught up as fans in what we feel like we deserve for a player who leaves, but I think ultimately it's right, or very, very close to it. What did Mackay? Mackay's one of the more controversial ones recently.
I
think
that was like
pick 2 or something in the end for North, wasn't
it? Something ridiculous.
But it's because of the pay. And it's again, it's basically like Chip Frawley again. It's because of where North are on the ladder. So I get it. But I get the frustration, but I agree with kind of the model.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't want us to be like, I don't want it to be like the NBA where there is no compensation at all. Because then you do start to head towards the NBA and EPL models where it's just the same top teams at the top all the time and nothing ever changes. And every other club is just a feed. Like it can be a feeding frenzy. So that thing keeps things balanced.
I think I'm comfortable with an early second round pick. I think regardless of who the player is, if you're leaving free agency, maybe it's more complicated than that. But yeah, second round pick for a reasonable player who's got something under their belt, like
that's the thing, reasonable. And so you
best and fairest, Brownlow, or premiership, blah, 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 whatever you want to do. This player's got some value. So I think that's fine. And by the way, we are sponsored by KFC. So thank you, KFC, for your sponsorship of the special.
The herbs and spices. Yeah.
So thank you very much. I wish there's a bit of money there. So if it's good enough for BBL, it's good enough for us. Mate, should clubs, sorry, I'll get to that. Is the trade period too long? Do you love trade radio?
I love it.
Or do you like, now, can we just finish this up in 2 or 3 days? You love it, do you?
I love it. The length, I don't want it to be longer. I don't want it to be shorter. I actually think it's just right. That kind of 9 to 10 days or whatever it is, week and a half. I think that's all right. Now, this year was a weird one because usually, I mean, the frustrating thing is the first few days, you might see 1 or 2, but otherwise it's pretty barren until the last 3 or 4 days. And so there's a lot of noise. This year was almost what I want to see from a trade period where there's just this steady trickle of trades. And obviously there was still a little bit of craziness at the end because always the craziness builds up and the media creates scenarios and all of a sudden Ginnivan's out the door because he's recording things he shouldn't. All those sorts of things. Like it's I like the theory of it, and I like it when it really plays out the way it did this year, which is there's always something new and we're not just spinning our tires on the same is he or isn't he story. Obviously, if there's a couple big marquee players, that will always be there. But beyond that, I'm a fan of it. And I think this year was kind of proof of in the pudding as to how exactly it should look.
And we got the pick for Radaglia in the end, so I was really glad
that
all that panned out through that period. I'll probably knock a couple of days off it. Keep it to 7 days, maybe, or maybe keep it from the Monday through to the Friday. I don't know. That'd be enough. 5 days, but yeah, I get it. Like it's about the media.
The weekend, the weekend allows the talks to happen.
The AFL as a They are fantastic at finding opportunities to extend the season, and they'll probably milk the AFLW for the next couple of weeks with the trade period and the draft and free agent, all that. I don't know if there's free agency in AFLW, but that's just around the corner as well. So that'll extend it out into mid-December, and then it's just the dark period, the dark ages of until we get through to probably February, maybe late January. We'll start hearing a little bit more footy again. You get plenty of footy on this channel, but yeah, the AFL will probably have to go a little bit quiet. They might sort of drop some news about someone who's been using drugs or something like that.
Yeah.
They tend to find a way to find. They'll find something.
Something comes out.
They'll do something. Should clubs be allowed to trade players without their consent, Paul?
Absolutely not. And again, this goes back to the EPL, NBA sort of thing where players are just being dealed on all the time. I don't like it. As someone who does kind of value the club loyalty thing too, if a player doesn't want to go because they're loyal to their club, then I don't want to see them pushed out no matter what. Like if they're out, it's because they've been delisted, not because they've just been unwillingly traded. So as much as I'm kind of accepting of the free agency thing, and again, I like the theatre, I like the stuff around the trade week and those sort of things, it's a step too far as far as I'm concerned for our game if we're starting to trade players against their will.
Fair enough. I'd probably agree too. I'm happy with that. I think. Then again, if you've got a player that's on $1 million, it's not like they're going to struggle to buy a house in another place. But I don't know. It's not like.
But again, there's the loyalty component. There's the people, and again, like this is why I don't like it necessarily in the NBA and the EPL as well. Is that like people lay down roots in places, like they get their kids are in schools, they've got like all those sorts of things. Now, if you're just moving from Victorian team to Victorian team, say for Geelong, it's a little bit different because they're all spitting distance away. You probably don't even have to move house for most of the clubs. In fact, probably none of them really. You want to go from, I don't know, Essendon to Hawthorn, who cares? Maybe the Essendon and Hawthorn supporters because they hate each other, but that's about it. But yeah, interstate stuff, like, you've got kids in schools, you've got family, you've got loved ones. And so if you're leaving, I feel like the least level of respect is to at least give the player the opportunity to come on board with it. And if they say no, well, that's it. Or let the player drive it themselves.
You've made me think of something, and I actually didn't have this on the list, so I'll drop one of the questions, but I want to know, and I think this happens a little bit in AFLW, should clubs be able, players nominating for the draft, should they be able to nominate a state of choice, their home state? Do you think that's something that the AFL should consider, or it's no, sorry, you want to play this game, you're going wherever we send you? Do you think that's something that they'd consider? I'd definitely think about it for Tasmania and possibly and even the northern states as well.
Look, they might get a bit creative in this period where Tassie's kind of coming in and kind of create some little workarounds because they want to ensure that Tassie is successful nice and early, and if there's a 20th team to go alongside them, that they're successful as well. But otherwise, no. I mean, again, people kind of picking and choosing and trying to drive it. It annoys me. I mean, it already annoys me because players say, I want to go to here, and that's it. I say that annoys me, but then I'm usually pretty happy when someone decides, hey, I'm nominating Geelong to go to, and then all of a sudden change my tone. So, dirty hypocrite.
You should nominate a club. I don't like the idea of a player saying, I want to go to this club. This is the club I've supported as a kid. I want to go here. But I don't know. If you're a WA kid like Dan Curtin, who's just been taken in the draft
to Adelaide,
you might not get picked up by West Coast, but you could get picked up by Freo. So I don't know. It's something to think about anyway. Let us know in the comments what you think about that one. Sorry, I just threw that in there, Paul. I know you.
No, but that's right. I mean, we got the similar sort of question coming up anyway.
Yeah. What do you think about the next generation academies or the northern academies? We've got one as well. I mean, every club's got one, but they operate a little bit differently up north. Any thoughts on how they should operate? Have we got it right? Do you think there'll be some changes coming?
I'll bundle this in. I guess maybe it's just down to how I interpreted the question. I'll bundle this in. I'm kind of looking at around the actual drafting component of the whole thing rather than kind of the catchments and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So I'll bundle it into a larger conversation, which also includes father-son and the price that clubs have to pay if they've got to match a bid or something like that. And I think Gold Coast really showed it in this most recent draft period where the price they ultimately had to pay to get these players was nothing. Like they stacked up on a whole bunch of low-level rubbish picks, and because they've all got points value, that then matched the pick 3 that North went for what's his name at we just mentioned him in another show before, Gold Coast, Jed Walter.
Jed.
They bundled up a whole bunch of pick 30s and whatnot, and there was enough points across all those to then equal the value of pick 3. Like that's crap. So I think the price you've got to pay potentially. So maybe maybe there's like an algorithm behind the whole thing, but like if the player gets selected in the top 20, whatever it is, it's, I don't know, 1.5 times the number of points for that. You would say Jed Walter, who's pick 3, and it's, I don't know what the value of pick 3 is, but say it's 2,500 points. Well, maybe you've actually got to then get like 1.5, so it's 3,750 points.
Something like that.
So you've really got to pay a premium. Like you've actually got to give away good picks. Good. I mean, not to dismiss players who get picked up at pick 30. I think Wellesley and Mac have just done a fantastic job of picking up players in the 30s. I'm sure.
Yes, they do.
That's just the Geelong way. But obviously, ready-made and all those sort of things, that conversation is kind of a factor in it. And, you're more likely to get this ready-made gun with a top 15 pick than you are someone who's maybe in the 30s or 40s, let alone multiple players in the 30s and 40s. So I think if you're, Gold Coast and someone's made a bid on Jed Walter and you're going to have to pay 1.5 times the price, and suddenly you're going, well, I can't just give away a whole string of 30s. I'm actually going to have to, it's going to cost me something in the high 20s, maybe even the teens, plus some of that other crap alongside it. Then suddenly the maths starts to balance out a little bit more. And I think the same works for the father-sons as well. Make the play, like if you want to get these guys, you've got to pay a premium. If you want to have this assurance. And
if another club wants them, you got to pay for it.
And like you've put the work into these players already. If they're a father-son, they're kind of, to a degree, because nothing's guaranteed, but to a degree, they're a known commodity. Again, it doesn't always work out. There's plenty of father-sons that haven't. But I think just make, but also the ones that are you expect to work, like Ashcroft, for example, he was pick 1. Like there's a difference. I mean, Gary Ablett Jr. would have been in the top 10 for sure had he been thereabouts. Tom Hawkins was meant to be pick 1 in the eyes of everyone else, but he just
that is a gift.
We got him for 40. We benefited. The Dogs. I think about the more recent model. The Dogs have picked up Jamara as a academy player. They've picked up Sam Darcy as a father-son, and they had to pay the highest price for those. And I'm glad. And that's why I'm annoyed at North, for example, recently for not using pick 2 for Jed Walter. I know it's only a small thing, but make the clubs pay the maximum price. You want to have this assurance of getting a gun or a father-son gun, again, presumably, pay the price.
I agree. Absolutely make them pay, but something.
And that will extend to us. We won't like it potentially when the time comes.
No, we won't. We'll be.
I mean, who's Cam Mooney's kids aren't too far away now. I don't know where they'll feature come draft time, if that's something they even pursue down the line, because I don't want to make the assumption that every child of an AFL gun will go on to play top level AFL as well. But if they do, who knows? They could be top 20. They could be bottom end of the draft for all we know. But just make the clubs pay what their quote unquote market value is. If clubs determine that they're there, then you got to pay something that's equal to that, and not a whole bunch of low level shit that gets you there.
Fair enough. I think we should just get 100% access to all the Falcons that come through. That should just be our thing. They come back anyway. You might as well. So they're always coming back to Geelong anyway. All right, some quick fire ones to finish this one off, Paul. Should National Draft?
Pretty passionate about that.
You did. I love it. It's good. Should the National Draft? Let the hate flow. He's a Star Wars reference there for anyone who's not following. Should the National Draft be held over one night, not 2? You'd have to whip through quicker than us if you're going to do that.
2 nights. 2 nights.
2 nights. Maybe that. Not 3.
I've liked the theatre around the whole thing, so that's fine by me.
Did you have round 1 and round 2 on the same night? I don't know. I feel like maybe there's just too much focus on the round 1 picks. I don't know.
I mean, look, if there's going to be 29 picks in the first round like there was this year, then it's probably okay to have one night.
Maybe it's true.
I mean, the stakes are at the highest. Again, you can get the whole theatre of getting people in the door, but if it's all on one night, that's too many people you're trying to cram in. If you want to have this very celebratory model that they've kind of created this year, I'm all for it. The way it is.
Schoolies week this year, wasn't it? So
I loved it.
All the mates.
I thought it was awesome.
It's great. That's great.
And again, you see O'Sullivan reacting for his mate. Like it was awesome.
Yeah.
We'll
Well, I
bring
haven't
him
asked the
over
question
from
about
GWS at some point. So
you sort of answered this before, but should clubs have the right to draft players with, and I'm going to use the word family links, not necessarily father son, because we're much more than that now. We've got an AFLW comp, we've got daughters and sons now, and we've got, I'll even open that up to brothers and sisters and all that. Should that be a thing? I don't know. It's probably. I'm going to ask you to keep this to a minute, but it's probably a much bigger conversation, maybe. But yeah, what do you think?
I mean, father daughter, father son, mother daughter, mother son. Like I'm okay with any of those. But then if we're going, but now we'll bring the brother across and that sort of thing. No, that's too far. I think.
So Nathan Ablett, F off.
We've got
Gary. We don't need you, Nathan Ablett.
But that's not a big deal though, because Nathan Ablett would be still father son.
That's true. Yes, that's true.
So I'm talking about. All right. And ultimately, he came and joined us anyway.
Zach
but I'm talking
Guthrie,
about.
There's another one.
Zach Guthrie or Jack and Ollie Henry, those sorts of things. Again, we ultimately got Ollie anyway.
We got him anyway.
But yeah,
let's say Zach Guthrie was. Zach Guthrie was supposed to be number one pick, let's say, and his brother was a Brownlow medalist, let's say. I think clubs would be up in arms if we had access to Zach Guthrie if that was the case. I think we got him fair and square. No other club really wanted him, but he's turned out to be a premiership player, absolute champion.
Yeah.
Last question for the night: how much
you've actually skipped another one already?
I know. I'm rushing. Oh, what's the you asked me the question, then I'll try and answer it.
Should priority picks be scrapped?
Yes, that's a quick answer there. Priority picks, absolute worst case scenario. Give them an early second round pick. That's
rare as hen's teeth, but yes, as far as I'm concerned, yes. But they've got to be more scarce than what they are now.
I think so. Yeah,
it's got to be super extreme.
Not happy with it. We just kept sliding down the order. Didn't we have pick 7 at one point before the draft started, and then we ended up with pick 11 anyway?
Well, we traded some of that, but
I know. But it's like I'm getting all excited for a pick in the top 10, and then all of a sudden we're pick 11. But we've got an absolute gun in Connor O'Sullivan, so it'll be all fine.
It's all for the theatre to say we've only had one top 10 pick in the last 20 years, and that story sticks because O'Sullivan was out of 10.
That's right. Another premiership with just one pick in the top 10. How much access to talent? Last question. How much access to talent should the Tassie team get when they finally come? If they finally come in, should they just be given every single pick in the draft, extreme, or have we learnt some lessons from Gold Coast and GWS?
Well, I mean, Gold Coast went for kind of experienced players, and it didn't work. Now, again, who knows what might have happened if Gary stayed fit in that one particular season? I think 2014. 15.
Yeah. Oh God, he was tracking for another Brownlow.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. And then GWS went with total build through the draft, and they traded for him and all that. So but both clubs kind of got the same sort of level of picks to begin with, and then things kind of evolved from there in terms of their approach. So I actually think what the AFL kind of offered both clubs was fine. I think the thing that kind of hit the comp the hardest was the fact that it was two teams being built simultaneously, and so it was a lot that every other club then had to, suffer through. If it's only one club coming through in Tassie, I think the model that they applied for GWS and Gold Coast works. And then it just boils down to the strategy of Tasmania. Do they go down the GWS model, which is, okay, now we try and trade and we get more of these picks and more of them in. And so that, makes it look more and more compromised at that point, but it's actually clubs that are creating that for themselves by trading away their stuff to Tasmania for whatever.
I'd like to see the AFL give them a generous hand in the draft, but I'd much prefer the AFL help them out with some dollars and a much bigger salary cap for the first few years to get some absolute guns into that club, get some success early on. I think Gold Coast having to work with the likes of Campbell Brown. They got Gary Ablett, but they pretty much used every dollar on Gary Ablett, and there was nothing left for anyone else.
And a whole bunch on Carmichael Hunt too.
Yeah, Carmichael, get the name right. Yeah, I just don't.
He kicked their first match-winning goal.
He did against Richmond. Suck at Richmond. Was it Richmond? I think it was. Yeah,
Port.
Richmond, I think. I'm pretty sure because I enjoyed that very much because Richmond can go get stuff. So I throw some money at him. I think it's not just through the draft. I think you've got to entice some absolute guns, and I don't think just getting one or two. I think you need to get a dozen or half a dozen at least across the board, across the straight there. That'll do for another episode. Paul will be back next week, aka in the next 5 minutes. If you are me and Paul doing this, we are banking these episodes. So thank you if you have been watching this deep into it. We'll try to keep the next one to 15 minutes. We're blowing them out,
Not
Paul.
possible.
But,
Not possible.
But Paul won't shut up, so that's all right. I'll let him go, everyone. I'm letting him go. You probably don't think I am, but I'll work on my time.
Long leash.
Thanks, guys. Stay Geelong strong. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next Sunday night. Take care. Cheers.